Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures to faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. Alright. And what I want to get into today, in transit, is just dealing with, the trap is being set. Because we know the ultimate end game, for the elites is to put a C-hip in everybody. Okay? You had that guy, Russo, right? And he used to be friends with his elite, Nick Rockefeller, and he told him that the ultimate goal was to get everybody chipped. That's where everything was leading to. Because that's, all right, the linchpin, okay, of their new world order, all right, the digital technocracy, all right, under Satan, okay, is the chip. And we understand that's the end game. So what we're seeing now is the traps that's being set, all right, to get as many people as possible to comply. Even before they make these things mandatory, okay, there's a trap being set to make people comply. Because you think about it, and I was just listening, how they have the commercials, for particular things in between, little commercials that pop up when you're watching YouTube videos. You'll be watching the video and, documentary or the news and anything. And it'll be a commercial pop up every few minutes on YouTube, but a lot of commercials I've been seeing on YouTube is for these AI programs to help small businesses, man. Okay? And people are becoming very. It was about people who had small businesses. Let's say you're a plumber, and let's say that you want to install a AI, okay, within your phone, okay, that would answer all calls. All the calls that you couldn't answer. You can have AI talk to, a customer, and you had systems that would put orders in, put work orders in or whatever. But anyway, it was like AI, was your 24/7 secretary. Okay? And people are running their businesses off of AI, man. A lot of people are merging their businesses with AI, which, if it helps your business, you might have a business, any of your brothers and sisters, if it helps your business, use it. But just know that that's a tool that AI is that Esau is going to use for leverage against the masses. Because people are getting so, comfortable with AI. They're building, this trust in AI, okay? And there's going to come a time when, in order to access AI, you're going to need the chip, okay? In order to access these softwares and these services, you got AI that does people marketing and, does people inventory for them and, does these things. It makes, things hell of a lot quicker and efficient and, it's costly, it's profitable, okay? And that's going to be used as leverage, man. A lot of people are becoming AI dependent, within the business sector, okay? And these are going to be tools used to leverage against the masses, man. All right? And also you have a lot of people that do what, man? They make a living online, okay? Their income, their salary, okay, is based on what they do online, whether it's TikTok or any social media or whatever. Even OnlyFans. As you see, you see the response, when there was supposed to be a so-called ban on TikTok, okay? And you see people crying out, not knowing what to do, because this is how they make their living, okay? So, and this shows the elites how many people are dependent, okay, on the internet, on AI, okay, either or both, okay? And these devils are going to leverage that, man. That's part of the trap that's being set. You know, and there's many traps that are being set. You know, whether you're, you know, running your business on AI or you make a living online, you know, either or both, or you just a nigga that love the club on the weekend, the nigga woman that love, you know, the nightlife scene. Okay, whatever, you know, your advice is, all right, in order to tap back into it when Esau cuts these things off, you're gonna have to get down with that sea hill, man. You're gonna have to really tap in. Okay, and as brothers been going into, especially the elder brother, you know, Revive Kwam, and he goes into it often, how you know, in order to, you know, participate in be a celebrity, you know, and have status, okay, have influence in the society, well, you have to participate in the rituals, man. Okay, there's nobody with money and influence that hasn't participated in a ritual, man. You can only get so far before you got to see the devil. Okay, the devil got to defile you, man. Okay, and what this devil is getting ready to do now, okay, the average person is going to have to participate and get down with Satan in order to function in this society, man. Okay, and a lot of people are already prepped, you know, because most people live by satanic principles, man. Do as thou wilt. Okay, most people live by those principles anyway, and most people worship this beast system in some shape, form, or fashion, man. And this technology, all right, that people look at as a miracle is going to be used for leverage, man, because AI is going to be a major part of this devil's enterprise that he's going to try to establish. Okay, and the more people trust in AI, okay, the more you know, like the more of the likelihood of them trusting this devil, all right, with this sea hill, with this device. You know, it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna take this thing willingly, man. You know, it's gonna will take this thing before it's mandated. You see, there's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna take this thing even before it's mandated, man. They're gonna, you know, volunteer because people's life, okay, is based on this man's technology. Okay, people's livelihood is based on this man's technology, man. Okay, this is a very grid-dependent society, you know, and we understand that the Lord's going to intervene. You know, our shot when you go to the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter, you know, and he's telling the disciples, you know, don't worry about what you're going to eat. You know, your clothes. You know, your Father in heaven knows you need neither of these things, man. And that's what faith, okay, being rich in faith is going to be valuable that day, man. Okay? Because, you know, we're all, for the most part, on the grid. You know, some more than others, but at the end of the day, we're all on the grid. Okay? And what's, you know, going to get us through is depending on your Yahweh Shema shot. You know, through faith, man, you know, that trust, and we're building that trust now. Okay? So when you look at, you know, this trap is being set, well, you know, man, existence, man. Okay? That's why, you know, a lot of people, you know, go hurt and getting that juice, man, because they didn't see a life, you know, where they couldn't travel and work in, you know, in this man's system. You see? They couldn't, they don't know nothing else, man. Like, this is a, you know, this is a big, you know, prison camp. You know, you look at America, man, it's like a big prison camp, man. You know, and once you've been in prison for so long, you know, it's hard for you to function in regular society, man. Okay? And people have been in American prison camp so long that no one knows how to function, all right, outside the prison camp. Okay? You see, when it comes to food, clothing, okay, you know, income, you know, no one knows how to function. Not many people know how to function outside the prison camp, okay? And they got this perfect devil, you know, Donald Trump, which, you know, he's brought back a lot of American pride, okay, to where people are even going to be more gullible to trust this transition, man, okay? People are going to be more susceptible, okay, to take on this transition led by Trump, man. He's the perfect character, man. Okay? And even those that are against Trump, you're still dependent on this system. Okay? When that pressure comes, because what we have to understand, it's like this devil, he already has, his hand around people. He has his arm around people's neck. He just hasn't applied the squeeze yet. Okay? But that arm is locked in. He just hasn't applied that pressure, man. That's gonna make the masses tap out. Okay, and give in, okay, to this new system. Okay? There's a lot of people, okay, that doesn't know it. But this devil has his arm around their neck. He just has to apply that pressure, man. And one thing when you watch, like you watch UFC, and someone is going for that choke, especially that rear naked choke, and they might wrestle. He might wrestle, to get his arm in position. It might take, a little while, to get his arm, okay, in position, okay. But then once he gets that arm in position and he finally put that pressure on, the tap out be quick. So it takes longer to put the actual arm in position than the tap out itself. Because once that pressure is applied, hey, it ain't long for you choke for you pass out. Okay, so he saw Edom. He has that arm in position. Now all he has to do is just apply pressure, man. Because the longer that this system goes on, the more dependent people are going to be on this man's technology, on this man's grid, on his AI, his internet. How many people depend on those things, man? You see? There's government assistance, all these different things, man. This man has many traps out there. Many traps. All right? And, some of us, a lot of us, we depend on, the grid. But see, we understand that everything comes from the Lord now. We know that Esau, we don't owe Esau no gratitude for a goddamn thing, man. Okay? The Lord is making all this possible, man. Okay? And the Lord gonna make a way when we have to, depend on Him solely, man. Okay? It says in Isaiah the 10th chapter, okay, on how, in that day, the rent of the Lord is not going to stay on him that smote them, but depend on the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, roughly paraphrasing Isaiah 10 and 20. Okay, so we have to understand, man, it's going to come a time where we're going to get uncomfortable, man. Okay, the showers is not always going to be cold. Always not going to be hot. Okay, you're not going to have this extensive menu to choose from when it comes to eating. Hey, things are gonna, it's gonna get uncomfortable. You see, we're not gonna have, certain luxuries, man. Because we're gonna be outside, man. You see, we're gonna be cut off. Now we don't know exactly how it's gonna play out, but we, in our mind, hey, we just bracing for the straight gate, and the Lord gonna put the Spirit on us to endure. Faith is gonna open us up to a spirit, to endure these things, man. When nothing will be unbearable. Okay? Well, like I said, the shower's not going to always be hot and steamy. Okay? And your options of what to eat is not going to be extensive. Okay? All the time, man. Because you look at it, during the time of the wilderness, you got to look at that as that was a transition into the kingdom. Okay? And Jake, had got so used to the comforts and the luxuries of Egypt that the wilderness was, a torment to Jake, man. Even though the chariot was right there, even though, the Lord had a constant food supply, water supply, it said that garments didn't wax old, that sandals didn't, tear, or disintegrate, man, in that wilderness. So the Lord was keeping them. All right, and us being kept doesn't mean luxury, man. Okay, and the Lord can do it, but there can be a time period where, hey, we just have to be uncomfortable. But what Jake menu, instead of being thankful that they was being fed, niggas was complaining. So we want to have a mindset to be thankful in everything, so we can be thankful in the times to come, man. The Lord provide, man. Okay? Whatever the Lord provide, man, hey, it's gonna be more than enough. It's gonna be sufficient. Okay? So we have to brace ourselves. Hey, was it those that sell? Okay? And they're not making any profit. Okay? So you're gonna have, all right, a time, okay, when it's gonna be uncomfortable, man. We got in our mind already braced for it. Through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. Okay? We gotta be tried, but we know the favor of the Lord is a sure thing. You see? And it's just a thing of believing in their suffering, man. We gotta believe in their suffering, man. And majority of our people, their mind is not being prepped, to suffer for Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. Their mind is only on what, man? Trying to maintain what they got, trying to come up somehow, in this world. Okay? Their ambitions, all right, exist only if America exists, So, just wanted to go into that because, there's a trap, being set, and within that trap, a lot of people are finna get caught up, man. So as people, worship this beast system and worship this technology and integrate themselves more and more with this technology, we know one thing, that they're, all right, are going to tap out, when this devil puts the squeeze on, man. So Lord will you, brothers, all right, and sisters, edified till next time I say shalom.